Welcome back. The so-called mistake in the report. What did you do, lady? The real question is, did she make the mistake, or did somebody alter the report? No way there's a mistake in Grandma's report. Not never. I've been dealing with the dead longer than you've been alive. That's a statement. Sonny Jim. Me writing something wrong is about as likely as ouch. And what the heck do you think I'd stand to gain by doctoring a file? Don't make a lick of sense. And that's all she has to say. Nothing funky here. See, it's just as I thought. There's no chance the good doctor doctored her findings. And you swear by the holy goddess that this testimony is true. Of course, Grandmama's never told a lie in her... Your opinions are not necessary, Nurse Needler. Your grandmother is the subject of this inquiry, not you. Not necessary, that's not fair. I'm the only ally poor Grandma has. Go ahead and shout objection left and right. We best be prepared then, Mr. Ex-Prosecutor. Oh, I'm more than prepared. I'm ready to expose the truth behind the error in the reports. No way there's a mistake. Well, that's Needler talking. Yeah, I need to focus more on the quotes, because that's actual Grandma. I've been dealing with the dead longer than you've been alive. That's true. Why'd you stop her?
Hold it!
The victim appears to have put this raincoat on after sustaining the head injury. And yet there was not a single drop of blood in the chest area of the raincoat. Therefore, she must have hit the head before she was stabbed in the chest, making it pre-mortem. Oh, that's ouch. I don't need you to teach me how to suck eggs, young man. My danged report already says what you just said, don't it?
Objection!
There we go, someone edited it. Your report states that the head injury appears to have been sustained post-mortem, which is the exact opposite of what I just said. Oh. Sure. I diligently dictated that report to Florence here, and she wrote it all down just like I said it. If something happened to it after that, weren't nothing to do with me. You dictated it. If you could please tell me more. So did Florence... Ooh, that would check out, because Florence also brought Kay to me. Florence is this chick, right? I diligently dictated the report. Present. Florence is the girl, right? Yeah, Florence Needler. Here. See for yourself.
Objection!
Dr. Hertz, I'd like you to take a look at the report for yourself. Oh, I'll read it to Youch. This ain't what I said. This ain't what I said at all. What? What do you mean exactly? I don't know. But I can't say that. Miss Needler, if you are attempting to bury Dr. Hertz's truth, I will gladly hear her confession myself on behalf of the Goddess of Justice. Dr. Hertz seems to be telling Judge Gavelle something in private. What? I see. Very well, allow me to relay to everyone what you just told me. Ain't no doubt about what I said. I dictated my findings to Florence just like I told you I did. The fuddle-headed young thing must have wrote it down wrong or something. Wow, that was a great impersonation. Yes, but was it really necessary? So in summary, there is an error in the report. And it was all because of you, Nurse Needler? The true facts have now been shown to be that head injury occurred prior to the chest wound. The question now, Miss Needler, is why did you introduce such an error? Just a minute, Verity. You make it sound as if the poor girl did it deliberately. Whereas it seems to me she just made a little mistake. Pre-mortem, post-mortem, they're practically the same word, don't you think? Except they mean two completely opposite things. This was deliberate, no doubt about it. But why would she want me to change it? Exactly. Thanks, cut. Ouch. You won't get away that easily. Explain yourself, young lady. But Grandma, You submitted a falsified report, an act that led to Kay being accused of murder. You owe us an explanation. I can't tell you. Not don't want to, but can't. This is really rather unpleasant, don't you think? Ganging up on this poor, considerate girl who's only looking after her grandmother. She has nothing to do with anything. She simply made one tiny mistake, so why not leave it there?
Objection!
You'd like that, wouldn't you? Because the only person here because the only person her testimony would hurt is you. What on earth do you mean, my boy? Seeing as you're now a de facto ex-prosecutor, you're going to need to explain yourself better than that. I'd be happy to. I'll even spell it out for you. Nurse Needler's role in this crime was very important because I don't think she's the murderer. I mean, she's obviously not the victim. Well, if you forced her to do it, then she is technically a victim, but I'm assuming it means victim as in, like, the dead person. She's a co-conspirator. Nurse Needler doctored the report in order to cover for her accomplice. Ouch. Oh, so she's a co-conspirator. This innocent young thing. Do show your grounds for making such a wild accusation, dear boy. The murder couldn't have been committed by one person working on their own. Without at least two people, it wouldn't have been possible to. It wouldn't be possible... Oh, that's right, because we had the issue where one person left, but the number of attendees was the same. So, like, if basically the two people basically swapped. One left, one came back. If the auctioneer was the murderer, and the victim was one of the attendees, the fact that a witness testified to there being 11 attendees even after the murder doesn't make sense. Hey, watch it. Y'all gotta call my good word into question now too? That's not what I meant. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I'm taking you at your word, which means there must be a co-conspirator. I know it's hard, my boy, but sometimes you just have to accept that you were wrong. I wasn't wrong. I just hadn't considered the possibility of the killer having an accomplice. But as soon as we do, things start to fall into place. If the killer's accomplice returned to the auction room in place of the victim, there would indeed have been 11 attendees both before and after the murder. Well, so that's your thinking, is it? It's certainly an intriguing theory, but surely the imposter would have been spotted right away. I don't imagine that Nurse Needler looks strikingly different from the victim in build and stature. With the help of a mask, she could very easily have replaced Miss Ringer without anybody noticing. Well, Nurse Needler, is that what happened? Did you take the victim's place at the auction? I wouldn't do something like that. Now tell us, the ringleader, who were they? I can't tell you, I just can't. It hurt Grandma too. Ow. But Grandma... Don't you worry about me, I can take it. You just tell me everything, child. But... Oh my god, her eyes. So I was right, she was an accomplice. Miss Needler, why? Well, Miss Needler? Can you explain yourself? Yes. Huh? Oh, thank you, Grandma. But I'm alright now. I confess it. I changed places with Miss Ringer. So you admit that you were working with the ringleader? Yeah. I was helping them. I don't know how, but they found out Miss Ringer was going to attack them. The culprit was going to be attacked by the victim. They seemed pretty sure it was going to happen that night, so they made a counterplan. They wanted to strike first, and they wanted me to help them. I was told to go to the storeroom before the auction began and wait there. Now hold on right there, Missy. I didn't see nothing, and my eyes don't lie. If you'd been in there before the auction, I would have bumped right into you. I was there the whole way through, and you weren't there for a bit. But I'm not lying. Well, that's easy for you to say, but you were lying about altering that report only a few months ago. Yeah, she's not. You can always tell who's telling the truth and who's lying based on what that guy says. I think we're all aware of the number of potential hiding places in that storeroom. Are we? Where exactly are you trying to say our friend the nurse was hiding? Well, there we go. The only one of my evidences that could be a hiding place.
Take that!
She hid inside this clothes box. Oh, she did she? Huh? Well, it was there the whole time, even before I moseyed on in. But like I done told you, it had all them chains around it. I wanted to hide in there myself, really, but it was locked up tight, so I had to go elsewhere. I imagine that's because Nurse Needler was already lying in there by the time you arrived. That's right. We didn't want anybody to open it, or it would have blown our cover. So the ringleader told me to climb in and wait until it was time for my part of the plan. And then they wrapped the whole box up in chains. I think they took the elevator downstairs not so long after. It was just before the auction was due to start. So as the auction was beginning, you and Miss Hart would have been the only people in the store. Yeah, I think so. The auctioneer proceeded as it always did, until a certain customer came upstairs to complete her purchase. That was when the incident occurred. Miss Hart overheard the victim and the culprit exchanging words around them. You betcha, I was behind that statue there, shaking like a dang leaf the whole time. In the middle of their quarrel, Miss Ringer was killed by the auctioneer. Imagine that the auctioneer then carried Miss Ringer's body over to the clothes box, from which Nurse Needler emerged and swapped places with the victim, after placing Miss Ringer's body inside the box, which is why there's blood there. Nurse Needler's role now was to pretend to be Miss Ringer. Two of them then returned to the room below, as if nothing had happened. Is that about sum up what happened in the storeroom, Nurse Needler? Yes, in fact, that's exactly what happened. Hold up, so you just waltzed right back on in and nobody noticed? This is two completely different people we're talking about. You're telling me not one of the other folks down there at the auction cottoned on? I mean, they're all wearing masks and voice changers. Why would they? The other auctioneers had no reason to notice the difference when Nurse Needler entered because... stole the victim's clothes. Yeah, imitating the... Well, it's not even imitating the victim, because they all have, you wouldn't even need to imitate, because it's voice changers. They're all so just wearing the same outfit, stole the clothes. As we've seen, Miss Ringer and Nurse Needler are about the same build. What's more, the auction rules require attendees to wear the masks at all time. If Nurse Needler were wearing the same clothes as Miss Ringer, nobody would have been any the wiser. No, and they weren't. I borrowed Miss Ringer's clothes and ouch. And left the poor child in her smalls? Have you no respect, girls? No, Grandma, I thought the same thing. It wouldn't be nice to leave her like that. So when the ringleader wasn't looking, I put the raincoat on her. So that's how Miss Ringer came to be wearing it. Thus, the auction was able to carry on as before. Guess the part where I caught the red raincoat on film came just after. Yeah, it must be, but it all makes sense. She was still alive and tried to leave. Right after that was when I went over and looked downstairs right through the gap in the elevator. Spied me 11 happy little auction goers. Then back I snuck into my little hidey hole. Don't tell me you were hiding back there the entire time after that. Well, that is not exactly... What is it? Did something happen? So maybe I ought to have mentioned this before, but I fell asleep for a few winks after that. Well, passed out. Unconscious, you might say. What happened? Did you, starve? No food? Kinda silly, really, but... There was a sudden loud noise, and it startled me just a little bit, you know? Although maybe more than just a little. But I just witnessed a murder. Can't blame a girl for getting jumpy. Guess that got my heart shook and my head faint. Before I knew it, I was out like a light. By the time I came to, it was the next dang day, and there y'all were clanking down the ladder. I see, so you were startled by a loud noise and fell unconscious. I suppose that means you don't know what happened after that. Not per se, but, well, after the auction was over, all the masks were back on the rack. So I reckon the guests done finished up and filed one by one like they were supposed to. Nurse Needler, once the auction had restarted, what exactly were you doing? I was pretending to be Miss Ringer and placing bids just as the ringleader wanted. I had to win the clothes box as I'd been instructed. It had a dead body inside, after all. Imagine if someone else had won it. We wouldn't have been in real trouble then. So you had no idea that the victim had vacated the box in the meantime? No, not until we came back up so I could pay for it. That was when we noticed. The ringleader told me to go look for her right away. Except I found some other girl collapsed at the foot of the ladder instead. Kay. Yeah, Kay. Yes, she must have fallen from up on the roof and been knocked unconscious. Guess the victim must have left that hatch wide open, huh? That would explain it. Kay would have been so shocked by seeing Miss Ringer fall motionless right in front of her that she wouldn't have had seen the open hatch and fallen right through. That explains the noise that caused you to faint as well, Miss Hart. It was the sound of Kay crash landing onto the storeroom floor. Yeah, I suppose. Can't believe something like that done knocked me out for so long, though. So in summary, by the time Miss Needler found Kay, you were already sound asleep behind the statue. I think we've got a good grasp on what occurred up to this point now, Nurse Needler, if you would continue. Sure. So I found Kay, and next I found Miss Ringer, and I put them both in the clothes box. We couldn't risk any of the auction goers seeing them. That would have caused a real hullabaloo. Was that your idea or the ringleader's? Theirs. But putting the raincoat on Miss Ringer was my own idea. So I tried to get rid of it before they found out what I'd done. I imagine they were none too pleased when it showed up as a surprise piece of evidence on this case. And lastly, the ringleader and I put her in an auctioneer's outfit we prepared. Of course, which completed the deception and made everyone think she was the auctioneer. All in all, the auction finished up without anybody noticing anything, and that was that. Now that we know the extent of your crimes, Nurse Needler, if you have anything further to share, I'd advise you to do so immediately. I wish I could tell you more, but I'm sorry, that's all I know. Oh, except for one other thing. It did seem a little strange, I guess. When I was borrowing Miss Ringer's clothes, I took everything I could, but I couldn't take her hair, obviously, so ouch. You're dang right you couldn't take her hair. What kind of medical professional are you? That's where you draw the line? Taking her clothes was okay? Well, she complained about that too. Our hair was totally different. The style, the length, everything. I kinda panicked. But the ringleader thought of everything, including wigs. 2 of them, in fact. There was a straight one and a wavy one. They were both stashed in the clothes box. 2 wigs? But why? Right? I wondered that too. I thought maybe they were worried she might have changed up her hair. Anyway, I took the straight one. That was the one that matched her hair on that day, leaving the wavy wig in the box. Interesting. And that's everything you know. There's nothing else you're forgetting? No, huh? No, really, Grandma, that's everything. And I take it that you really have no idea who the ringleader might be. Sorry, I only know that they were in charge of the auction. I didn't see them without their mask on. And they were pretty careful to keep their identity a secret from everyone. But I can't get something concrete on them. Oh ho ho ho, well Miles, are we about done? You've proven the nurse was part of the murder plot, but sadly for you, it doesn't, it also proves that Kay is not part of the murder plot. Really? And justice must prevail, we can't change the law even for your sake. How is that?
Objection!
Franziska, what are you doing here? As I told you before, Miles Edgeworth, where the case leads, I follow. Your dedication is an inspiration to us all. But don't go getting the wrong idea, little brother. I'm only here to deliver the truth regarding the suspect. I'm certainly not here to forgive you for abandoning the way of the prosecutor. I understand that. You should thank your former subordinate for what I'm about to share. In his desperation to help Kay Faraday, he gave me a valuable piece of information. Detective Gumshoe did that? Prepare yourself, Miles Edgeworth, for the final piece of the puzzle. Rosie Rayner's head wound was the first of the injuries she suffered, not the second. Didn't we already know that? Well, someone say something. Yes, there's no easy way to say this, Franziska, but we already proved that ourselves. You, what? Yes, just a few minutes ago. Ah! Well, why didn't you say so sooner? You didn't exactly give us a chance. And I suppose you know about the murder weapon, too? No, not yet. Ha, good. Then listen up. The victim was struck in the head with a blunt object bearing a circular surface, and the wounds to the chest were actually inflicted post-mortem. A circular surface?
Objection!
And you're certain of that, I assume. Your sources are above board? Two trusted medical professionals reached the same conclusion independently. You couldn't ask for more.
Objection!
That's certainly good to know. Unfortunately, you're overstepping the bounds of what? I am a prosecutor in charge of Interpol's investigation into the underground auction, and this murder occurred during that auction. It would be negligent of me not to pursue leads pertaining to this relevant parties, especially the victim. My, you really become quite the force to be reckoned with, haven't you, my dear? Then all parties are in agreement. The victim died from a blow to the head. Yes. Sadly, the murder weapon itself has yet to be identified. Based on the shape, I might have an idea or two. But guys, I didn't turn up any weapons during my investigation. And yet one need only think about the setting of an auctioneer's tools, and the answer should be obvious. An object with a circular surface used in an auction... I don't think it's Judge Gavel's. She wouldn't be helping me so much if she's the murderer. It's the auctioneer's hammer, not Judge Gavel's hammer, not a judge's hammer, the auctioneer's hammer. What would an auctioneer have readily at hand? An auctioneer's hammer, of course, but we never found one of those. If the auctioneer was indeed the killer, it does seem a likely candidate for the murder weapon, but without the evidence to support your theory, it remains nothing more than that. Oh, I have just the evidence you need right here. I do? Circular object. Sound of an auctioneer hammer could no longer be heard. So this... yeah, so... this? After the murder, there was no more hammer, because the hammer would have been covered in blood.
Take that!
Ms. Hart told us something very important about the auction after the murder occurred. She said that the very prominent sound of the auctioneer's hammer could no longer be heard. Now, why would that be? I'll tell you why, because it had just been used in a murder and was covered in the victim's blood. It would need to be disposed of, isn't that right? Chairman Winner. I'll have our people look into this right away. Oh ho 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 ho, you really are like a dog with a bone, aren't you, dear boy? But if you can't dedicate yourself to a cause when you're young, when can you, hmm? He seems very confident we'll never find it. Very well, a search for the murder weapon will be conducted. In the meantime, this court is in recess. To be continued. Yes, I will save. And that's where we're stopping for now. I feel like we're revving up to the finale. I don't know if we're going to find the weapon, but I think that's like the only piece of the puzzle left. I am still confused how Kay can be considered the ringleader, but it's already been established that Kay fell down the whole thing. Anyway, we'll find out next time. Bye-bye.